Now that we have seen the market access requirements for exporting fresh grapes from Peru to the Netherlands, the next step is understanding the certifications that help exporters meet those requirements. These certifications provide Dutch buyers with an assurance that the grapes have been produced, packed, and handled according to internationally recognized standards. I will also explain the accreditation bodies that oversee these certification systems and ensure they are credible. So we will now be talking about standards, certifications, and accreditation bodies. Why do certifications matter? Before discussing each certification, it's important to understand why they are so important. Dutch importers don't only buy grapes based on their quality or price, they also want proof that the grapes are safe to eat, produced responsibly, and can be traced throughout the supply chain. As shown on this slide, certification focuses on four key areas: safety, to minimize contamination risks; worker welfare, to ensure fair and safe working conditions; environmental sustainability, by promoting responsible farming practices; and lastly, traceability, so every shipment can be tracked back to the vineyard where it was produced. Meeting these requirements builds trust with Dutch buyers and also allows Peruvian exporters to remain competitive in the European market. We'll now be talking about the global gap. The first and most important certification is Global Gap, which stands for Global Partnership for Good Agricultural Practice. It's an internationally recognized farm certification that establishes standards for how fresh produce is grown before harvesting. Global Gap covers areas such as safe pesticide use, water management, environmental protection, worker hygiene, and traceability. For Peruvian grape exporters, obtaining Global Gap demonstrates that their vineyards follow internationally recognized agricultural practices. Although it's not legally required by the European Union, many Dutch importers and supermarkets expect Global Gap certification before purchasing fresh grapes because it provides confidence that the fruit has been produced responsibly and safely. The GRASP. Many Dutch buyers also request GRASP, GRASP, which stands for the Global Gap Risk Assessment on Social Practice. Unlike the Global Gap, which focuses on agricultural production, the GRASP evaluates the social conditions on the farm. It assesses whether workers receive fair wages, have safe working conditions, understand their labor rights, and have access to grievance procedures. For Peruvian vineyards, GRASP demonstrates that employees involved in growing and harvesting grapes are treated according to internationally recognized labor standards. As consumers increasingly expect ethically produced food, GRASP provides Dutch retailers with additional assurance that the grapes have been produced responsibly. Now we go on to HACCP and the BRCGS. Once the grapes leave the vineyard, the focus shifts from farming practices to food safety during packaging and processing. The HACCP, which stands for Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, is the preventive food safety system. It identifies potential hazards during washing, sorting, packaging, and cold storage, and establishes control measures to prevent contamination before the grapes are exported. The BRCGS Food Safety builds on the HACCP by certifying the entire packing facility. It evaluates hygiene, traceability, quality management, employee training, and continuous improvement. For Peruvian exporters, these certifications demonstrate that the grapes are packed under internationally recognized food safety standards before leaving the port of Callao. This gives Dutch importers greater confidence that the grapes will consistently meet the food safety expectations of supermarkets in the Netherlands. The export chain. In the diagram, we can see where the certifications fit within the export process. Everything begins in the Peruvian vineyard, where Global Gap ensures responsible farming practices and GRASP focuses on worker welfare. After the harvest, the grapes are transported to a packing facility, where HACCP and BRCGS certifications ensure they are handled, packed, and stored safely. The grapes are then exported through the port of Callao and shipped to the port of Rotterdam, one of Europe's main entry points for fresh produce and a big city in Holland. Because these certifications are internationally recognized, Dutch importers can trust that the grapes have met the strict standards before they arrive in the Netherlands. And after they arrive to the port of Rotterdam, they will be shipped to the Dutch supermarkets like Albert Heijn, Lidl, or Jumbo. SMETA. Another certification that some Dutch buyers request is SMETA, which stands for SEDEX Members Ethical Trade Audit. Unlike the previous certifications, SMETA is not focused on food safety. It evaluates ethical business practices throughout the supply chain. The audit examines labor conditions, health and safety, environmental performance, and business ethics. For Peruvian grape exporters, SMETA demonstrates that both farms and packing facilities operate responsibly and respect internationally recognized labor standards. While not always mandatory, it strengthens the reputation of exporting working with retailers that prioritize ethical sourcing. Then the accreditation bodies. It is important to understand that there is a difference between certifications and accreditation bodies. Certifications such as Global Gap, GRASP, and the BRCGS define the standards that exports must meet, but accreditation bodies ensure that the organizations issuing those certifications are qualified and competent to do so. In Peru, INACAL is the national accreditation body responsible for accrediting certification organizations. SENASA oversees plant health and issues the phytosanitary certificates required for agricultural exports. In the Netherlands, the Dutch Accreditation Council, or RVA, accredits certification bodies operating in the Dutch market, while the Dutch Food and Consumer Product Safety Authority, or NVWA, is responsible for official inspections of imported food products. Together, these organizations ensure that the certifications issued in Peru are recognized and trusted by Dutch buyers. To conclude, the certifications play a key role in allowing Peruvian fresh grapes to enter the Dutch market.